All right, welcome back to another episode of the Bold American Podcast presented by Barstool Sports. We got an all guys lineup today. Rob is traveling to where he didn't disclose. Who knows where he's up to? Ryan is traveling out to San Francisco for the Super Bowl to tend to some responsibilities as to Travis Manion Foundation, which will also be parlayed into socializing and finding herself into some parties. If I know Ryan, so good for her. Super Bowl is upon us, and it's always a fun time out, whatever city is hosting the Super Bowl. So I got producer. Oh, excuse me. I almost just called you producer Bren, dude. Throwback, producer Bren.
Yeah,
Wait,
that's a throwback, right?
ZBT uh, producer. Producer Sands is with us. It's funny how your brain just kind of is wired to go to a certain place. It's funny. I haven't thought about this in a long time. Hope he's doing well. And also, we got our news guy, WTC, our social guy, WTC, with us as well. So, lots to talk about today, boys. There is a massive new Epstein document release, and it feels like we've been getting Epstein releases for months now, but there was another big one that mentioned a lot of new names and a lot more detail that we're going to get into. We've been back the country, a historic winter storm that's been shutting down the country. Nashville right now is crippled. What I'm seeing on social media, which is really, really difficult. Speaking of shutdowns, there's going to be another federal government shutdown, which is never. You would think the government would have their things figured out by now, and they just do not. There's major U.S. military buildup happening in the Middle East. So, boys and girls, stay on your toes. Who knows what's going to happen in the next 72 hours, coming weeks, across our military. Speaking of our military, there's been billions in new arms sales. So, the military-industrial complex is alive and well. There was a Melania Trump documentary that allegedly is breaking box office records. I'm not sure which record books those are, but it's being reported that there are records being broken, so we'll get to that. And then finally, in addition to the Super Bowl coming up this week, on Friday, we got the Winter Olympics kicking off. And I love the Olympics, both summer and winter. Some people just say they really like the summer and they don't really gravitate towards the winter or vice versa. I like them all. I like the Olympics, period. So we'll chat about that. But before we get to all of that, last 72. Sands, let's start with you, man.
I was writing it down, but there's really not much to write home about this weekend. It was one of those, it's cold outside. It's not a whole lot to do. I did on Friday night go out to the golf simulator with my cousin. We like to try and get around it just to stay loose for the upcoming season. And then went to dinner on Sunday night. But honestly, my highlight of the weekend was getting a good. I had my dogs like to play this game where they run through the living room and then the little one sprints into my bedroom and jumps on the bed. They ripped the sheet wide open. So my highlight of the weekend was going and getting a nice quality pair of bed sheets, another one for the backups, and I put them on, and that was really a highlight. Just going to bed in those last night, and maybe that's part of like being in your 30s now, and it's just like that's what my big highlight of the weekend was. It's there's no football on, there's nothing that I was super interested in watching, so just laying in some nice sheets and watching a movie was really the highlight that wrapped up a really chill weekend over here.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal, bro. That your highlight was getting a new fitted bed sheet put on your bed. I mean, don't get me wrong.
It was awesome.
Listen,
It
I've
was
talked about
awesome.
how important bedding is and important it is to have a good mattress, but that is a low key. That is about as low key can get in terms of weekends. But hey, listen, sometimes we all need to recharge. WTC, what's been going on with you, buddy?
I like the low key weekend. Mine's it's been pretty low key around here as well. I'm kind of still adjusting to the farm life. I'm back on the family farm, and so we got a lot of winter weather over the weekend, and it's not winter weather that y'all are used to, but for a Texan, it definitely was an adjustment. So, and then we have cattle and stuff like that, so it's like feeding them and making sure that they're all taken care of. We got a couple of baby calves down on the ground, so I've been like checking in on them, making sure that they're good to go. But it was a good
Wait,
weekend.
talk about that. You're talking about being on a farm. That is a very, very foreign concept to me. I mean,
Yeah.
I watched the movie Son-in-Law with Pauly Shore. I watched Yellowstone, with ranch life. I don't know about farm life though, dude. Like, what does that entail? Do you get up and feed the chickens and pick up the eggs?
We have before. We don't have chickens or anything like that right now. It's dwindled. My dad's taken care of the farm and he's gotten older, so it's kind of dwindled down to a small amount. But we have 10 cows, and 2 baby calves and a horse right now. That's what I'm taking care of.
Okay.
And so when it's cold like this, and they frost up, they can't really get to the grass and stuff. So we put out hay for them, or you put out some feed, like some range cubes and stuff like that. So we get out there, feed them not every day, but periodically to kind of make sure. And it kind of depends on the weather. But when it's cold like this, you got to feed them more often than not. So it's cool. It's fun. It's different.
And then,
it's definitely an adjustment.
Are they all set in the barn? Is the barn warm?
No, they live on out. We have a little barn, but they don't really
Really?
get in it. They have brush and stuff. That's usually where they go if the weather's bad. They'll get in the woods. We have 70 acres, so it's not a huge piece of property,
That's still
but it's
pretty
not a lot
big.
of cattle, so they still got a lot of room to get around. And some of the property is wooded, so they get in there.
You say when it's cold like this, what's like cold for you guys? What's the winter? You said it's not like what we deal with us being so far north, but
Yeah,
how was the weather down there?
it got it down into the 20s. That's about as cold as it got.
Okay, I mean it's still a
So
culture shock, I guess, to that area. Texas, right?
Texas, yeah, Houston area, in between Houston and San Antonio.
Hmm.
Right.
Well, I pray for those calves and that horse and that everybody
They're all
stays well.
good.
Are they? Educate me, and maybe I'm silly for not knowing this. Are those animals? Are they warm blooded or cold blooded?
Yeah, they're warm blooded.
Right. So if they're warm blooded, wouldn't they get cold?
Yeah, they get cold. They do. I mean,
Okay.
they definitely get cold, but
So
they're
wait, dude,
sturdy.
shouldn't
They
you
they
be
get in the
taking them?
brush and
I don't know. Don't let me tell you. I'm not the farmer here, but it sounds to me like you need to be taking these guys inside the barn. I don't know.
no, if it got maybe like bitter cold, like in the
Okay.
in the below zeros and stuff like that, or something crazy, then you might have to like really take some action. But they're sturdy, man. They get in the brush and like they have baby calves in some of the bad weather. It happens a lot where they'll have calves in the winter, and if that happens, you have to like bring the baby calves in sometimes and keep them warm, or put like that cow and that calf in the barn or something like that.
Okay. All
But
right.
for the most part, they're sturdy.
All right, well that's good to hear. All right, so farm life also low key. But listen, I'm talking, giving you guys a hard time. I didn't really do anything this weekend either, and that is due in large part to having small children and there being a limited number of activities that you can do with small children. I mean, there's only so many times you can go to places that charge you for a ticket and keep these kids entertained. Although yesterday on Sunday we did go to one of those like indoor parks with a couple other families and they ran around for I don't know 2 hours and that's great. Saturday, I took my son just by myself just to the mall and just walked around just to get some steps in and get out of the house because I go stir crazy if I have to sit in the house for too many hours with the kids. And that's something that I think is very different for me having children now. If it was me at 26, 27, and I don't have anybody else, I could lay on the couch, watch movies. I might go a little stir crazy, but I could deal. When you have a toddler that has a ton of energy and needs to run around, and you can only come up with so many activities. That's why I always say, like, God bless these teachers who are at daycares and schools who are doing all sorts of activities with these kids all throughout the day. And I am wildly impressed by that. But
Is that harder in the
really,
winter when it seems like y'all would be like locked inside, right?
yes, but they have endless activities. I get a freaking so my daughter's 2.5, so that's not even pre-K yet. I don't even know how you classify that, but we get a syllabus every week says, hey, here's what we're teaching the kids. Here's what we're going to go through this week. And it's cool because you get to, follow along and then you can at home talk through, hey, what'd you learn at school today?
Yeah.
She'll give me answers, but then you can kind of talk through things and prompt her for questions. And we see all the pictures and the videos that they send. So they're incredibly creative with what they're doing with these kids. Although
Keeping them busy.
Yes, they are going to go outside this week because it's going to warm up a little bit. So, but maybe that's a good. Maybe we just go right into just how this weather has been crippling the country before we get to the Epstein Files. We got a bomb cyclone, and it's just a rapidly intensifying winter storm, and it has hit the U.S. over the course of 1,300 miles. That has gone from Arkansas up to New England, and we saw anywhere from 6 inches to 3 and 4 foot snow drifts in different parts. Pittsburgh got 20 inches with wind chills at -25. Shout to Pittsburgh Sands. 30 deaths, unfortunately, have been attributed to this storm. 8 people were found dead outdoors overnight in New York City, which is incredibly sad that they just don't have a way to escape it. There's over 500,000 people that have lost power. I've been following some people down there in Nashville. The ice that was unrelenting. And the problem when you get these states and cities that are more or less warm weather for the majority of the year, never really get below freezing, they just don't have the experience, the infrastructure, the tools to deal with this. So you're seeing a city like Nashville, I saw some things tweeted out. You have zip codes that are not slated to get their power back until 2-3 weeks from now. And listen, at the end of the day, I don't want to, pretend like that's no big deal. Like obviously, we people can make do and with generators and figuring it out, but you really get inconvenienced, and you don't realize how much you're reliant on power every day until you're without it for an extended period of time, like 2-3 weeks. So it's crazy, and I feel bad for people like that, because you can complain all you want and say to the power companies, hey, what are you doing? You're failing us. They know that, right? They're not trying hard to suck, but they just are. And listen, they don't have the manpower. They don't have the experience. And it goes beyond just, hey, the snow comes, we shovel it. There's a lot of, at the most basic, simple level, yes, snow falls, plow the streets and what have you. But even in New York City, a city that is known to have gotten tons of snowstorms over the last 200 years, even they're dealing with issues right now with traffic and with snow removal. So even a city like New York that has experience and infrastructure in place to take care of big storms are struggling a little bit. We've seen 3,500 flights canceled all this past weekend. So it's just really, really difficult to be dealing with this weather. And in the month of February, when we don't have a lot going on, Sands, you mentioned there was no football this past weekend, and you really have to dig deep inside. And my heart really just goes out to all those families right now that are experiencing hardships, and hopefully they're doing the best they can to stay warm and stay safe, because that's another thing. When you lose power, so many of these people are without heat, so you get to a situation where you don't have heat. And if you have little children, if my power goes out and I don't have heat by myself, it's like, okay, I can mentally overcome that. I can layer up with 3 hoodies and jackets and gloves and hats, and just I can rationalize that in my head. I have a 2.5-year-old daughter. If she comes to me and says, Daddy, I'm so cold, there's only so many ways you can say it, and they don't get it. So for that, I really do feel bad. And I feel like both of you have been experiencing, obviously, WTC talking about not knowing what to do with these animals in this cold. Unfortunately, Sands is out changing tires in the middle of snowstorms. So, seemingly we all have our own crosses to bear, and it just really stinks. And unfortunately, as much as I want to be optimistic about all this, it seems like there's no end in sight. I'm looking at the 10-day forecast, and it's not really getting to a place where this snow is going to melt at all. So I don't know. We just have to kind of like hunker down, and maybe the Winter Olympics and the Super Bowl are coming at a perfect time where we can all kind of band together as a country and say, all right, it sucks, it's cold, but at least we have the Olympics, at least we have the Super Bowl. So do you guys have any remedies that you're using to pass time?
Just
or to
prepare.
Stay warm? Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta prepare for it. Like the simple shit. Put your wipers up, like stuff like that. That's as simple as it gets. But Yeah, prepare for it. We've got a plow in the garage that I use for my driveway, so it's a side by side with the plow on it. But having that type of stuff, that's like you were saying, like the Carolinas are getting 11 inches of snow. You're not going to see like a bunch of people with plows out over there. So it's tough to
Right.
prepare in certain places. Yeah. So it being a nuance in certain locations is tough.
Yeah, well, that's a great
But no,
point.
remedies
Something
wise,
like,
I play Yahtzee. I watch movies. That's my remedies.
dude, Sans, I have my own personal Yahtzee cup. It's a leather cup and it's monogrammed. I love playing Yahtzee, dude.
Oh, really?
Yahtzee's a great game. Yeah,
Yeah, that's always
Yahtzee.
like
Yahtzee's
Christmas,
legit.
Thanksgiving, snow days. It was always Yahtzee first. Grandma
Let me
put me
ask
on
you
that
guys.
young, so.
My parents would play all the time, and I never played it, but I'm thinking about picking it up because my wife and I enjoy board games. You guys play backgammon at all?
Never played.
I've never. Is that the one that kind of looks like checkers for some reason?
Yes,
it's got a weird
it does.
board.
You gotta like move the.
It's got like diamonds on the board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crisscrossing, yeah, and like I don't even really know the point of the game. I think it's ultimately like you got to move all your pieces to the other board before the other person does. Essentially, I could be getting that completely wrong, but my mom said it's a good game to play with one other person. So I think we might check out backgammon and see how that goes, and if we like it, maybe get a nice board. But yeah, no, it's.
What is
Is
your
cribbage
family
big
have
around
a top
y'all?
3 when it comes to games like that?
Say that again, Sans. What?
I said, does your family have like a top 3 board games or card games that you guys play? Like you're busting out at the holidays or family get-togethers.
No, not at that level with the whole family. But my wife and I love Yahtzee. We love Sequence, and we love the one where you roll the dice that has the 26 letters of the alphabet. And I'm blanking on the name right now. And you get a category, and you got to list things for the category that start with that letter. Oh.
Sans is Googling.
God.
I see him
Come
Googling.
on. Wait, what is that? What is that game? Oh my God, this is gonna kill me.
I've never heard of this.
No, what is this? Hold on. Bear with me. It's a new
Campbell's
game.
Alphabet Dice?
No. Let's see. Board game with alphabet. Oh, shit. Alphabet, dice, and... Oh, there's an hourglass. Timer. Come on.
AI should be all over this. Come on, ChatGPT.
Dude, what is this
Right.
game? Oh, my God. Categories.
Categories.
Dude, categories is
Okay.
fun. And you can play with
I have
multiple
heard of
people.
categories.
No, never played.
Categories is fun.
Me neither.
No, definitely get in on categories. It's a good one. And it's so funny because I think like growing up, you think like board games are lame. And then you get older and you realize like, oh, wait a second. If we just, they're fun, but then also too, we'll open a bottle of wine and you start playing these games and it gets that much more fun. So we love playing board games in this house.
Yeah.
Is cribbage big around y'all? Cribbage?
No,
What is
you know what's-
cribbage?
dude? I have no idea what cribbage is, but it's been blowing up in the streets. I'm seeing it all over social media. I know people that have started playing it. Mahjong. Mahjong is hot in the streets right now, and that's another one. I have no idea the purpose or how to play that game. I just know the tiles that look kind of like dominoes, and they have like different designs on them and numbers, and I don't know anything about that. But that's the game where seemingly a lot of women are playing that right now.
Mahjong. We gotta look into that.
Yeah, that's the new spades.
we're
People are meeting up to play.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Dude, did you guys play spades when you were
Spades is a great one.
in the military?
Spades.
I've got a military. Yeah, my military story of learning how to play spades was when I got captain's masted and was on restriction for 45 days. So you're in your own little section, and you just got to go with the restriction officer everywhere. But you had like free time for 2 hours, so every night we would play spades, and that's how I learned. And I love spades now. Yeah.
I haven't played in so long, and I definitely miss it. It's a really fun game, and it's interesting how that's one of those games that kind of was pervasive across the military. It didn't matter what branch of the service you were in, how old you were. Everyone kind of played spades at one point or another. I didn't know how to play until I got to I never played until I got to college, and then guys taught me, and I kind of fell in love with it. So that's another great game. So maybe we'll just
There's nothing like having a bad spades partner.
Oh, dude, that's the thing. It's all about
You can't count your books.
Sure, but you need a good partner too.
Yeah.
So.
It's all about
Trumped
the
by
partner.
your own partner because he's holding on to it. Yeah, there's a lot of ways to get pissed off at spades. That's what we used to have to. In restriction, we had to stop. The restriction officer would come out like, "You guys are getting too rowdy. Go back." I was like, "Oh damn." But yeah, fun stuff. Yeah, this could be a board game pod. The board American pod. There you go.
Yeah, I want to hear what other board games people are playing. Lay them on me. So we'll listen for that. But you know who else is getting rowdy? Everybody on Epstein Island, and not in a good way, folks. All right, so we saw there was another Epstein Files release. It seems like these files have been coming out. I don't know, or maybe they've been saying they were coming out, but there was a new crop of files that were released. The Department of Justice released over 3 million pages, 2,000 videos, 180,000 images related to Epstein. So before we go any further, being named in these files does not equal criminal wrongdoing. So, Russell Wilson was named in the Epstein files, but it was because of something to do with a house he was buying, I think. He had never met Epstein. But here's the thing. This is even Russell Wilson, who has nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. This is not something that you want to be anywhere near in any way, shape, or form. You do not want to be someone who has to explain to people why you found yourself in the Epstein files. And listen, it's hard because seemingly that dude's tentacles were all over the place. And he touched politicians on both sides of the aisle, people in finance, people in sports. It doesn't seem like there was any aspect of society that was free from the reaches of Jeffrey Epstein. And it's just crazy to me that one person was able to have that level of influence and a circle that was so intertwined and in a lot of instances in a really dark, creepy, sinister, disgusting way. So the names are crazy, and that's really what's kind of getting some attention this week with the new release. Elon Musk is in there, so it shows that Epstein reached out to him. There was discussions about getting lunch at SpaceX, an invitation to Epstein's Island. However, it appears the invitation was declined. But again, this is not something that you want to be invited to, especially everything that we know now about the goings-on at that island and all of the disgusting, horrible, depraved, illegal, illicit activities with Epstein Island. Big one that now is going to reverberate for weeks to come, especially this week, Super Bowl week. Steve Tisch, 40% co-owner of the New York Giants. So there were emails that Epstein offered to connect him with women. Tisch acknowledged a friendship, but he said he never visited the island. But if you look at the emails, there were questionable things said by Tisch. And now Roger Goodell has to answer questions about this. And if we remember, there was another owner, Robert Kraft, owner of the Patriots, as everybody knows. He got in trouble for engaging in some adult activities that were not legal. And the NFL is incredibly careful about their image, or at least tries to be. So I think now you are going to see, and it's already been said by Goodell, that, hey, we need to look into this further. That's like the go-to. It's like a covert way of saying, well, this is really bad, and I don't really have an answer for you right now, so we need to look into this further and investigate. So I would not be surprised if Tisch is, I don't know. It's hard to dissolve 40% ownership, but he has siblings that are also involved, and maybe his ownership stake would be passed off to them. I don't know. But again, the emails with Tisch, not good. Casey Wasserman, who is the head of the LA 2028 Olympic Committee, had some flirtatious emails with Ghislaine Maxwell from 2003, which is while he was married. He's not married now. So there's no criminal allegations against Casey Wasserman, but another public figure, you don't want emails out there that show you were being unfaithful to your wife, albeit, it doesn't matter now because it does matter, but he's not married now, but still, nevertheless, that's not optics that you want to have. Howard Lutnick, the current U.S. Commerce Secretary, this is the one that's probably raising the most eyebrows. In 2012, Lutnick arranged a visit to Epstein's Island. He was already in the Caribbean with his family. Records suggest his wife may have planned to go with him. He previously said he cut ties in 2005, but new documents are showing contact as late as 2017, including meeting for drinks. And that's the other crazy thing. There are so many emails and correspondence after it came out that, essentially Epstein was a pedophile. So people who seemingly are smart and in very influential positions across all these different sectors are knowingly engaging with a pedophile. That's just stupid. If I knew somebody was accused, they wouldn't even need to be, hey, they were convicted. If somebody was accused of pedophilia, that's all I need to know, to block that person's email, block that person's phone number, and never correspond with that person in black and white ever again. And speaking of black and white, Jesus, what is up with the boomers? They speak in this shorthand, and either they're just really stupid or they don't get keyboards and it's just easier to skip words and all sorts of crazy spaces. So I don't know. It's been a lot. So right now it's just a lot of the emails, the pictures, the videos. There's videos of Epstein chasing women inside his kitchen, which is not a crime, but it's creepy. There's footage of the prison where he died. There's photos of Prince Andrew crouched over a woman. These are images that CNN said are newly released. So this is a story that isn't going to die anytime soon. And I'm not usually a cynic, but what I think is going to happen is mostly nothing, ultimately, because people are going to find a way to deny. Now even, the Clintons are going to testify before Congress because they were probably going to get subpoenaed to go speak in front of Congress. So now they're going to go and answer to all of these questions. And you talk about somebody that's been connected to Epstein. It seems like Bill Clinton was hand in hand running buddies with Epstein. And it's no secret. It's unbelievable. People have seemingly some fond memories of Bill Clinton as he was president. The guy was a creep. It's been known. He was a known philanderer. Obviously, the whole episode with Monica Lewinsky and how he used his power to coerce her into actions that she may or may not have wanted to engage in. Nevertheless, he set her life on fire with everything that went down. Like, Bill Clinton, not a good guy, right? And then, obviously, Trump is all over the Epstein Files as well. Trump vehemently denies that he was ever friends with this guy. And listen, none of these are guilty verdicts, what's going on in these files. But again, if it quacks like a duck, it walks like a duck, looks like a duck, it's probably a duck. These are allegations and email trails that connect these people to, again, an individual who was known for being just a depraved human being. I don't care. There's no way to explain or justify pedophilia. And I think that goes without saying. That's disgusting. And especially I think about it now, having a daughter, and it makes my stomach turn to know what these men were doing on those islands. And it's just horrible. I think the biggest takeaway, though, like I said, I think a lot of nothing is going to happen because of these files. It is just a confirmation of what we already knew, that all these people at these upper rungs of society in different sectors they're all connected. They're all dirty together. They're all in bed together. They're all friends. They all talk. And it's just a big theater production, what we see on the news or through social media. Behind the scenes, all these people were talking to one another. All these people, not all these people, but a lot of these people mentioned in these files were doing varying levels of horrible things. And obviously, some of these people need to be held accountable. And they should be presented with and convicted of very serious crimes. I just don't have the confidence that we have we meet the burden of proof to convict these people of some of the things they're being accused of in these emails. So we'll keep monitoring these Epstein files, but I'm curious what you guys think. I really resigned to the fact that it's just not surprising, and that's horrible. But I'm not overly surprised when you see the names mentioned. I guess the biggest surprise is that, again, Epstein had his tentacles and his ties to so many people. But I think when you get to a certain level of power, wealth, influence all over the world, it's almost like there's a secret, not almost, there's a secret society of all these people and how they operate. And it's crazy. But do you guys think anything will happen to any of these people mentioned?
No,
No, I
I
don't
think you're right.
so. You got to think back. I mean, Ryan has said this in a million. Like, I seem like every time that it's come up, Ryan, Rob, or you have said it before. Like, everyone's involved. Everyone's so tied in. I feel like there's so much red tape to battle through. But now they're just like tripping out these files and stuff. I mean, you know how hard it is to get permanently banned from Xbox Live. Jeffrey Epstein was one of those guys. That's like the first trigger. It's like, this guy can't even speak on online gaming, let alone. But it got me with this mega network. It's fucking insane.
Yeah, yeah.
The
No,
most
we're making light
surprising
of it,
thing
but
about
it's
all
true.
this coming out is that nobody's like shocked.
Right.
Like everybody was crying for the Epstein files to be released. I'm like, they just released like 3 million Epstein files, and people are like, I didn't even hear about it.
Does that feel
Right, yeah.
strategic to you? Because like they didn't want to release it, and then they delayed it, and now they're just trickling them out. And as people are recognizing the names, it's like they're doing like taking time to allow these things to dissipate, so people aren't thinking about it until the next wave comes.
Maybe. I just think what people are realizing, because yeah, there is that morbid curiosity that everybody wanted to see it, and the fact that they weren't being released, everyone just assumes, well, if they're not releasing them, they're hiding something. And then now we see all these things that are released. I think the biggest surprise are some of the names, like, Steve Tish's of the world and the things that he was saying in those emails. That's surprising just because, for whatever reason, you wouldn't think he would be involved with Jeffrey Epstein. But then when you understand what he, his business dealings, it makes sense. So I think that's all it comes down to. It's like, it makes sense that all these people know one another and interact with one another. And as I said, I think this society is one of those things where once you're like in, then you just kind of get passed around, and everybody kind of works with one another, and everyone knows one another, and you all go to the same parties, and the same names are mentioned. And it's just a different world than the world that the three of us live and operate in every day. So it's just not surprising. And if anything, maybe it could kind of bring us together as a country. Like, people on politically on the right and on the left, it's like, look, do you see now? Like, it's everybody. It's people on the right. It's people on the left. It's depraved individuals on all sides. So
You know what it is, Cons? Everybody wants to look at it like we're divided like this, right to left. But I think it's really divided this way, like top to bottom. You know what I'm saying?
yes,
I think it's a
exactly.
lot more divided this direction than it is this direction. And I think that people on the right and the left have had access to all the stuff that's in these files. We're just now seeing it, but lawmakers and people have had access to these things before. And if there was anything in there that they thought worthy of using, if it was somebody important enough that they could go after or something bad enough that they could go after. I think a lot of it has already gotten used. They've used a lot of the ammo that was in there, and now we're kind of
Right.
getting what's left over. That's shocking to us and surprising that Steve Tisch is in there, but like there's nothing criminal. They're not going to prosecute him for cheating on his wife or whatever.
Right, exactly. And the other thing too, the emails to me, that's not the smoking gun. Because if one of you sent me an email, I could then forward your email, but I could in forwarding your email, I could adjust the text that you said to me,
That's true.
right? And then what? That all of a sudden makes it gospel. So all these emails, I think it's almost like a really bad reality television show. So people are glued to it in that sense because they want to read and they're, again, that morbid curiosity. But I don't know how much you can prosecute people over just emails. So I mean, we'll see what happens. But in order to prosecute, you got to be working. And right now, the government's going to shut down again. So
Take a break.
we are in another partial government shutdown, and it actually began this past Saturday. The old funding bill that got passed, it expired. Senate passed a new bill funding most departments, but the House went on recess. By the way, what a gig if you can get it, man. Getting elected to the House of Representatives, they work like only like 100 days a year, something like that. They're always taking breaks, going back to their home states. They
A
got
lot of recess.
a lot of recess, cushy
Right.
salary. Dude, I remember, I'm not going to out him, but there was a congressman who told me that there was one day where he just went to this other congressman's office and they were playing video games because they were waiting on votes and stuff and they had nothing else to do. So they were just playing video games. And again, I've said it so many times. You wouldn't think people in Washington are doing that level of activity, but that's really what it is. There's not much for them to do a lot of times. So, but anyway, they're coming back. Actually today, so they're expected to pass it immediately. So, Department of Homeland Security only gets 2 weeks of funding until February 14th. That's the big call out with this funding. There's Senate Democrats that they want changes before approving long-term DHS funding to include mandatory ID for ICE agents, limits on ICE tactics, independent oversight, and body cameras on ICE agents, obviously given everything that has happened in the last month with those ICE agents. So it's going to likely end, but we're basically just kind of like putting Band-Aids on a bullet wound until the next government funding installment plan runs out. So we'll see how that plays out here and how that impacts DHS and specifically ICE and their operations across the country. Speaking of ICE, we had the Emmys. I think it was the Emmys last night. It's crazy. I remember.
Grammys, I think.
Oh, see, I didn't even know. Yeah, it was the Grammys. Yeah, you're right. It was Grammys. Dude, award shows used to be a big deal. Like everybody would watch. It was appointment television. Now, I didn't even know they were on until they were midway through. But there was a lot of
clips.
statements. Yeah, there were a lot of statements made about
Yeah,
ICE.
shout out Chaperone's dress.
Yeah, that was an interesting
Hell of a dress.
wardrobe choice. But what do you guys think about musicians and getting up on accepting awards and using that as a platform to speak politically?
I'm not the biggest fan of it. Hugest isn't a word, but I'm not the biggest fan of it. I also don't know when else they like get a good opportunity to do it like that. I think that a lot of them try to, they have their own opinions and stuff like that. But today, I think like a lot of times only your audience is looking at you and paying attention to you. And then all of a sudden you get, on a stage like that and you're going to have left, right, and center looking at you. You've got everyone's attention right there. So I think it is a time to like drop something if you're going to drop it. To me, I think that's just, I don't know, that's not the thing I would be like dropping whenever I got the opportunity. I don't know.
It was Ricky Gervais at the Golden Globes. I don't remember what year, but years ago, and he said, as it pertained to political statements made by musicians, entertainers, what have you. He said, if you do win an award tonight, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech. You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. I agree with that to an extent. They do operate in a world that is not normal. On the other hand, you could make the argument they do have a platform, and if they're using it to affect positive change, then that's a good thing. But I do think largely these people are just out of touch, and they're getting the bullet points, and they're seeing stuff, especially now, just on social media, and they're not necessarily read in on these topics. They just know the high level talking points, and
I feel like you're getting the pressure of the platform.
Right.
They already have this platform or social media thing that they've built their own, and now you have pressure coming from your own platform to pick a side, make a stand, do something, pick one or the other, and go make this big statement. And then they go and do it, and then now you've got all these people upset, and you're dividing the platform further than what it originally was. It just it feels like there's probably a better time and place, and if you do want to voice your biggest thoughts or concerns on all these matters, just do it on your own platform. Don't use the Grammys like a big sponsored event and make it there. But I don't know. It's I feel like it's kind of always been a thing. But I also, to your point, it's not as popular as it used to be, and maybe that's an effect of that, of them using this as a platform to do all these political stances. Maybe that's what's caused it to lose a little bit of its popularity.
That's a fair point. It's like, make it about the music. There's so much good music out there. I saw a performance by a handful of artists, the tribute to Ozzy Osbourne. That was like Post Malone, Duff McKagan, and it was Slash, and it was amazing. Those are the sorts of things I want to see from musicians. I want to see your talent. I don't really care what your political beliefs are. One of the most outspoken musicians is Bruce Springsteen, and so many people wrestle with his beliefs that they love his music, but they stop listening to it because they don't agree with him politically. And I've always said, just separate the two. You can relate and listen to his music and also disagree with him politically, and I think that's completely fine. It's what we talk about all the time, that it's okay to have differing opinions. But I just think these people, they make it such that it widens the gap. I don't want to say I'm certainly not perfect and I don't know how to do it, but it almost feels condescending the way that they're trying to get their message across, that that's what I believe, and if you don't agree with me, then you're wrong and you're an idiot. And that's where I don't enjoy listening to them.
When I think about politics or political things like this, and then celebrities, there's a major dichotomy there, and I don't think it's necessary to merge those two on a stage like that. I don't know. That's the way I see it. It's just like you said, let one thing be one thing and the other be the other, and take to your personal
platforms. You're there to celebrate the music. So leave politics and your personal beliefs at home. Don't use that as a way to conflate the two. Because, again, they're Americans. At the end of the day, they're allowed to have these opinions. They're allowed to voice their concerns for the country. But I don't know. I just don't want to see it at an award show that's not about that. I just think it cheapens the award show a little bit. So, anyway, moving on to more serious topics. The U.S. expands our presence in the Middle East. We have increased our military assets near Iran. That's the other thing, man. All this shit is going on, and real stuff, real actions are happening where we're mobilizing a whole bunch of assets right near Iran. We got the USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group over there, multiple guided missile destroyers, fighter jets, tankers, transports, all repositions to Al Udeid Air Base, Patriot air defense system installed at Al Udeid and Ali Al Salam in Kuwait. So the official reasoning: regional stability, response to Iran's violent crackdowns, leverage in nuclear negotiations. So deterrence, visibility, leverage, and that is just getting no press at all. We have all of this firepower. We are moving to one part of the world and concentrating it, and nobody's seemingly talking about it. And another thing that people are not talking about, and this is nothing new, we've been doing this for decades. We approved $15 billion in arms deals. We sold
with a B.
$6.6 billion worth of stuff to Israel, to include 30 Apache helicopters, 3,250 tactical vehicles, armored power units, utility helicopters. We sold $9 billion to Saudi Arabia, 730 Patriot missiles, launcher upgrades, logistics systems, training, and technical support. So we're doing all sorts of things that are just flying under the radar, no pun intended, and it's business as usual across our military, and we're really doubling down on those regional alliances. You know, Israel and Saudi Arabia, giving them really
Did he freeze?
quality stuff. So it's something that's certainly keep an eye on with all of those billions of dollars of equipment going to those countries. Moving on, going back to the entertainment world, this got a little bit of pub, and not as much as some other things, but the Melania documentary came out. Did either of you guys watch the Melania documentary?
I have not seen it.
Okay. Allegedly, it had the biggest documentary opening weekend in a decade. It did $78 million at the box office, depending on who you ask. Amazon spent $75 million to make this documentary. It was directed by Brett Ratner. For a while, Brett Ratner was the up-and-coming next dude, and then he got Me Too'd into oblivion years ago. Not to mention, he's also got photos with him and Epstein. So, you know, he's made some really good movies, but you can't excuse that behavior. So he's probably just taking any job he can get these days. But critics hated the film. Audiences, I guess, in theory, showed up. The other thing that I saw by people who don't like Trump, people were posting screen grabs of empty theaters to show that people actually were not going to see this documentary. So, listen, people who hate Trump, they were going to say this is trash. People who like Trump, oh my God, this is the greatest documentary that I've ever seen. I got to be honest, I'll probably never watch it. I really don't know. I don't know if this makes me a bad person. I don't really know much about Melania other than she was a model and she's from another country. She's not American, you know, by birth. She's from another country. She was a model and she married Trump like 20 plus years ago. And I don't know. I can't reconcile in my brain how that comes about. Like when you just look at those two and you think, what is she seeing him, or how are they attracted to one another? It doesn't compute at all. So who knows? But there's also now a 3-episode docuseries that is being planned around Melania.
Perfect. More.
We get more.
Credit to our first lady.
Yeah.
All right, and then final topic: Winter Olympics. Obviously, we got the Super Bowl on Sunday, February 8th, but the Winter Olympics begin this week. U.S. is sending 232 athletes, which is actually one of our largest teams ever. Lindsey Vonn, she's still expected to compete despite an injury like 3 or 4 days ago in her last competitive race. So we'll see what she does after, you know, she had a knee replacement. I hope I'm not misspeaking. I'm pretty sure she's 41, same age as me, which
correct.
I actually don't know if that seems old for a skier. I mean, obviously, I've seen people on the mountains skiing, but not competitively, well into their older years. But we'll see how she does. We're rooting for her.
The crazy part with her, she retired in 2019. Like, she was done quite a few years ago and then came back. So it's Big
She
deal.
had the itch. Well, so we'll see how she does. Chloe Kim's going for her third Olympic halfpipe gold, which is awesome. Mystique Rowe, awesome elite name. She's a first-time Olympian in the skeleton, which is a ridiculous event to be going head first, right?
Crazy event.
Head first, or which one's?
Yeah, that's
on your
the
back? That's the luge.
I'm pretty sure
head
skeleton's
first.
head first. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
She's a
bananas.
track transfer. She used to be a track athlete.
That makes sense.
Mystique Rowe.
That makes sense, dude. Shout out to Cool Runnings, great movie. Track athletes make great bobsledders and
Heck yeah.
Winter Olympians. Abby Winterberger, awesome winter name. She's 15.
Definitely.
She's the youngest on Team USA. And then we got a dude who's a curler, Rich Rahoen. He's 54. He could become the oldest Olympic athlete to win a medal. So we'll see. We got a big age gap there, but I'm excited for the Winter Olympics. Speaking of, did you guys watch the 1980 Miracle on Ice documentary yet on Netflix?
I have.
Dude,
I've not.
what did you think?
Great. I mean, they nailed it. I feel like they nailed it. One of the like better just storytelling chronological, like just going from one thing to the next as far as the documentary goes. Sometimes I get a little frustrated with documentaries that try to jump around a little too much. I'm like, just tell the
Yes.
story like it happened.
They told it very succinctly.
Right.
And they included a lot of the guys, which I think is a very difficult thing to do in a documentary when you're introducing a lot of different people.
Mhm.
But they had a lot of people, but it was not overwhelming. It was a good amount of guys. Hearing from them firsthand, like Miracle, the movie from 2004, is one of my favorite movies of all time. I get choked up every time I watch it. And then what this documentary really gave me even more appreciation for was just how important this game and this team was for the country at the time.
Mm.
And just how big of an I knew they were an underdog, but just like not only did nobody expect us to play well against the Soviets, we were picked to finish like 7th or 8th in the Olympics.
Yeah.
That year. So it was awesome just hearing these guys watch back the old clips of themselves.
That was cool.
Of them talking about their upbringing and their family members that really helped them get into hockey and allowed them to play hockey and supported them through that journey. And obviously now these guys, this is, 40 plus years later. So all these people they're talking about are no longer with us. So it was really emotional as well, but it was just an excellent documentary that I would absolutely recommend to anybody. And just hearing again firsthand from these guys was really, really cool because that movie did a great job, but then these guys went 2-3 layers deeper on what the game meant, what it meant to them, how they looked at their coach Herb Brooks, and it was tough.
The movie, I think, does a great job of telling the story and like really letting you know what happened. And then the documentary kind of shows you like what it meant, like what it meant to the guys and what it meant for the country to win and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And just fills in the gaps that, that aren't in the movie and everything. It's good.
Yeah. Couple quick things.
I'm stoked
here.
for the Winter Olympics.
Yeah, no, it'll be really good. Couple quick things. Any caveats by you guys though? Anything we missed or anything?
Super Bowl Sunday coming up. Birthday week next week.
Super Bowl, yeah.
Yes. So Super Bowl. 2 things on the Super Bowl. But first, I just want to talk about, you guys are tracking on this Savannah Guthrie story. Savannah Guthrie, one of the hosts from the Today Show. Her mom was abducted. Her mother is missing. So, our prayers go out to Savannah Guthrie, who has done a lot for the veteran community. I actually met her at the Elizabeth Dole Foundation Gala a handful of years ago. She was incredibly cordial and nice. So just a horrible, horrible story. I have no idea at this point why her mother might have been abducted, but I cannot imagine what she's going through right now. So just want to be mindful of that. But yeah.
Can I ask a question on that?
Yeah.
You said abducted. Is that like, that's a very specific word, right?
Yeah.
What does that mean exactly? She got kidnapped or someone took her?
No, yes. She's missing and right now
like a ransom situation of some kind or something?
I believe she was
details
abducted.
outstanding.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of outstanding
Is it
details.
Pima County?
Mm-hmm.
Sheriff Chris Nanos told CBS she didn't walk
Strange.
away from there. She didn't go willingly. Yeah, that's crazy. It shows a picture of her. Obviously, I'm not familiar, but like, yeah, because my first thought was like, how old is she? Is it one of those like deals where isn't there like where they just wander off, forget where they live type thing, like the dementia thing?
That's where my
I don't know
head
if that
went. But
was
then
in
you kept
play,
saying
but
abducted, and I was like, well, those don't marry.
yeah, no, this story, that's crazy. Prayers.
Yeah,
Strange.
so hopefully it ends well. Very, very scary. Two thoughts on the Super Bowl. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They showed the jerseys. They got, in my opinion, there's too many patches on
I
the
saw you
jersey.
talking
There's too
about
many
that.
patches, man.
I agree.
And the big one that doesn't make sense to me. And listen, I heard all of the replies and why they're doing it, but the USA 250. Obviously, I'm aware that we are celebrating our 250th birthday this year. That's not until
Those are
July.
massive.
But here's my big thing aesthetically. They're going over lines, and it's not even.
Over
It's
the
not
uniform.
symmetrical over the uniform, and it just seems out of place. But also, the game of football did not exist in 1776, right?
Good point.
And listen, you at this point, you have to mention football when you tell the story of America. Or what did I say? Hold on. I think I said this is what I said. Football is America. Football is the United States, but the United States is not football. And what I mean by that is there's so much more that goes into this country. You shouldn't just boil it down to just like, oh, we're the football country. It's obviously a very big part of the fabric of our country, especially now. But people were telling me they did this at the 200th birthday, the bicentennial, and they had matches that whole season. I don't know. It just seems, and I'm probably just being a hater, I guess. I don't know. Just let's just celebrate and be America and be happy. But I guess ultimately what it comes down to is I don't think the patches look good on the jerseys, and I think they're taking up too much real estate, and it just looks weird to me. So
You're the
You have
perfect
two
person to
badges
ask
and you
this.
have the trophy.
Yeah, it's a
yeah,
lot.
and then plus if you're a captain, you got to fit the C in there somewhere.
So now you got four on the
Fonz,
front.
your post on this triggered a question. You're the perfect person to ask. So, like,
What do you got?
Army, Navy, they go of a specific uniform, a special uniform.
Mm-hmm.
Are you pro maybe like a special Super Bowl uniform? Is that too crazy of an idea?
Oh, doing like an alternate for the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
If the team makes a Super Bowl?
I hate that.
That's a good question. Yeah.
No, because the history of the program and the tradition behind the jersey that you're representing, you want to win it in those colors. Like if
But
the
where is that
Steelers
whenever
ever
we
make
go
Super
Army
Bowl
Navy?
again and
Because
it's
we make
black
up
and yellow,
different uniforms every year for Army Navy.
that's
I never
different.
actually
I
thought
agree
about
with you
this,
because I'm with you.
WTC.
But
I don't know. I never thought about this. I think it's one of those things where it could be cool maybe once or twice, but then I think people would get fatigued by it very quickly. And because also too, like,
I think it would take one ugly one and then everybody would get mad.
right. And obviously like the Patriots are not a good example because they've been in the Super Bowl seemingly 400 times. And the Seahawks have been in it recently as well. But if you're a team that, like, for instance, well, actually, no, they've been in it a bunch, just not recently. But if you're a team that has not been to the Super Bowl or has only been to the Super Bowl like one time, and then you finally get there, and then you see your team in some wacky uniform, and God forbid you don't like it, you're going to be so perturbed. So
I got a case.
Yeah.
If Buffalo ever gets back, they should be allowed an alternate because they're 0-4 lifetime in Super Bowl. So what they've done isn't working for them.
Yes,
that's fair.
Buffalo could do something different.
Yeah.
But then the last thing I got, the halftime show obviously is very divisive. You got Bad Bunny performing, and a lot of people don't agree with that. They don't like his music. They don't like his politics, whatever. So there's also now an alternate halftime show with Lee Brice, Kid Rock, and two other people who I don't really know them that well. What do you guys think about? Because I don't know, it feels like the halftime show has been irking people in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I think we should put the halftime show up to a vote, and America gets to vote. Like, we have the ability to do this. You could do it online very easily, where you.
America votes for American Idol winners still. So yeah, we can vote for the halftime.
That's what I'm saying. We should
Let that
vote.
guy do it.
That's what we should do for the Super Bowl moving forward, collectively as a country. But we're not gonna, make everybody happy. But if we could land on majority, we should vote for who performs at the halftime show. And I think that's the best, most fair way, the most American 250 way of making it fair and making everybody happy. Because I don't like.
Is it like you give us a couple of options though, or is it like you can vote for anybody? How does it work?
That's what I'm saying. I think that they reach out and they nominate.
Yeah, I think there's got to be some nominations to where it gets whittled down to like 2 or 3.
Yeah, like 4.
And then, or 4, whatever, and then you vote on who those acts are, and then whoever gets the most votes, popular vote, wins.
Yeah, I think that would work. Instead of just picking, with Bad Bunny it's weird, but
because also too, it's not like these acts are getting paid anything. The Super Bowl is always an unpaid gig. So
right, they get like a deal, like they have a deal with their label, right, or something. Apple Music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
I will say I've met Bad Bunny.
Oh, really?
Randomly enough, yeah, I worked with him before he popped pretty big, but he did a show and I was working on the episode he was on or whatever, and super nice guy.
He's one of the better characters in Happy Gilmore 2 for sure.
I agree. Nailed it.
Good. Yeah, he was good. But I just I don't know. I would just it's just one more thing for everyone to fight about, and I just need to fight.
Right. Honestly, it goes back to a little bit to what you were saying about the thing about getting up there and putting on your platform at the Grammys or whatever. Like, he just said a couple of the wrong things at the wrong time or whatever, and now everybody's like super upset. I mean, it literally was like a couple of sound bites. Like, if he had never said a couple of those things, like literally no one would even know about it or have a problem. Probably there would be no story here. But he said a couple of things. I think the big thing was he said he was trying to protect his audience from ICE and he didn't want to do shows in certain places, I think. And so that was like kind of but it's like that one statement is caused this whole like division. I think that's strange.
Right.
Hmm.
So maybe we can vote next year.
I think the people complaining about it aren't there to watch the right thing. I'm there to watch a ball game. Let's go Seahawks.
That's a real good point.
It's also a good point. Great point.
It's about football.
All right, well,
Mm-hmm.
we got a lot to root for as a country. The Super Bowl, the Olympics. So maybe that'll bring us together for a little bit. And also, everybody go watch the Miracle on Ice documentary, and you'll feel a little bit more patriotic. I guarantee it. So big week ahead. Take care. Make it a great week.